What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is the only sports podcast. That's right, it's the only sports podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino over there. How we doing today, Casino?
Great. You know, this podcast is starting a half hour later because of doing great. That's why.
Spring break. It's fun.
Kids are fun.
Uh,
Yeah. Yay,
but
kids.
Casino,
And spring
what I'm
break
about
for
to
you just means your oldest son is now at home. Spring break for me is I get the wife back. Oi. Yeah. If she heard me, she didn't care. So
yeah, me and my son.
and there's the look.
Playing...
There's the look.
Me and my son were playing Madden this morning together. He fixed my controller. It's great. It's great.
He
But
fixed your controller?
Yeah, because this is the joy of
Send
parenthood.
him my way. You know that my controller's been broken. That's why I haven't been able to play with you, bro. Come on now.
Mine, it was an easy fix. He just had to take it apart because my 3-year-old spilled chocolate milk on my controller, so it made everything sticky. So then my 11-year-old had to take it apart. We wiped down the inside, and now it's perfect. So
Okay,
that's the best part about having a 11-year-old is they know how to do all those things. But
so no. We're sticking on this. A quick tangent on that is my parents. I took a computer class when I was in middle school, like as an elective, because you had to take an elective. And my parents thought that I was now a computer genius, and it was like one of those first Apple computers that had like that giant back to it, you know, and they like had the multicolored, you know, backs to it and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so they got me one of those, and they're like, "Yeah, you could do everything for us, you know, build a freaking web page in Excel, and you know, do all the cool
You're like,
stuff."
I don't know how to do any of this.
I'm like, I mean, like they showed us how to make like a web page, and like I did like a golden retriever web page or something like that. I don't know, but like we didn't actually make the web page. Like they made the web page, and then we just like clip arted like pictures over. So
Yeah,
so having kids that know how to do stuff, you know,
it's the
cool,
best.
but not
The
you
best.
don't expect your kids to know everything.
No,
'Cause I
I'm having
didn't.
him build me. I'm just giving him a box of scraps and being like, build me a PS5. So
Nice.
that's the next that's the next step. So I promised Casino I had a surprise before the show, which I will reveal now, which is we recorded an hour-long show yesterday called Free Agent Frenzy, right? And it was an hour long about us talking about all the free agent signings. Well, that file ended up being corrupted. I tried 6 or 7 ways to try to fix it, to upload it, would not upload. So we have to redo that today. My son is in the hallway
Running
laughing
backs,
at me
running backs
as we
did
speak.
running backs did cool stuff. There you go.
I think it's a blessing in disguise because Casino is very tired. It was just a podcast of us just saying names for an hour. So we're
Yeah, it
going to
was.
jazz it up. Jazz it up, Casino.
With fingers?
We're not talking about, yes, jazz hands, jazz takes, jazz free agency. Already the energy on this podcast is 100 times better than what it was yesterday. We were both tired.
It is.
So we're going to do we are going to do it a little bit differently today, which we're not going to talk about all the names. We're just going to talk about the big ones and thoughts on those, Casino. So without further ado, let's jump into probably the 2 biggest on the quarterback market. Well, actually, let's throw in all 3. Kirk Cousins signed with the Atlanta Falcons, 4 years, $180 million. Baker Mayfield re-signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 3 years, $100 million. And then Russell Wilson signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, 1 year, $1.2 million. And then the rest of the 29 million will be paid to him by the Broncos. So of those
so
3 moves, Casino,
that is absolutely stupid money.
We talked about it on last episode, how the Broncos now have the most dead cap space ever by a team, by like 3 or 4 times as much as the next closest person in NFL history, not this year.
That's insane.
NFL history. So That Sean Payton experiment better work. But when it comes to Cousins, when it comes to Mayfield, when it comes to Russell Wilson, who of those three do you think will have the biggest impact on for Wilson and Cousins' new team, and then Baker coming back to the Bucks?
I think Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins getting out of there, going to. I think Atlanta has done a really good job in this postseason or in this trade era postseason. Yeah, God dang it! Now I'm getting
Off
back onto
season.
yesterday's. Yes, now I'm getting back onto yesterday's track here. Free agency. I really like what Atlanta has done. I like the move. I think he's going to shine down there.
Yeah, I do as well. Now, what are your thoughts? I know we both said that Baker should re-sign with the Buccaneers. What are your thoughts on Baker returning to the Bucks? And now in the NFC South, would you rather take the Falcons or the Buccaneers right now to win that division next year, or Saints, or God forbid the Panthers?
I'm going to still say Bucks. I like the Bucks. I think they're going to do well, and I think especially with them staying there, and then Mike Evans re-signing. I think him and Baker had a really good connection together. I, I'm I think this is going to be a good duo for them, or a good connection for them. So yeah, I really think that Tampa's just going to build off of what they did last year, which nobody expected them to reach the playoffs, let alone get a. I mean, because they didn't even know what their quarterback was. There was still quarterback, you know, talk at the start of the season on who's going to get the start, and Baker ended up winning it and taking them and winning a postseason game. Like that's huge. I mean, he's almost like Lamar Jackson. He's almost reached to the amount of postseason wins as Lamar Jackson. It's awesome. Good for him.
um I also think when you talk about the Atlanta Falcons, we have to talk about Desmond Ritter, which is last year he had less
Yep.
than 3,000 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions with an 83.4 passer rating. Now, Kirk Cousins, I think it's been established when you look at the quarterback landscape in the NFL. He is bottom tier, a top 15 quarterback, high end, a top 8 quarterback. So and again, there's 32 teams. Most teams, I mean, there are some teams that have better backups than current starting quarterbacks, right? So
Yeah,
I
it's true.
I like the move for Atlanta. Yes, it's a lot of money for a guy that by the end of this contract is going to be 40 years old. He's also coming off an injury, but also people forget that when Kirk Cousins last year was playing, he was legitimately in the MVP conversation, right? He was having the best season of his career by far. So maybe it just takes, we've seen it with some guys where they're okay, they're okay, they're okay, and then all of a sudden a switch flips, and now all of a sudden they're okay. And then all of a sudden a switch flips, and they're now the peak, and who knows how long that peak goes for. So Atlanta is also one of the teams that has used the draft the past
Ouch.
3-4 years to only bolster their offense.
Hmm.
So you have Kyle Pitts, who, I mean, you look at what Cousins did with Hawkinson and what he did with the other tight end who's escaping me, the really good Vikings tight end that Cousins had. Uh, Whatever. But you've seen what Cousins has done with tight ends in the past. So now you have Kyle Pitts, who has a legit quarterback who throws the tight ends throwing to him. You have Bijan Robinson. You have Algier there. You have they just drafted the, oh man, how am I
I
forgetting his
mean,
name?
you're thinking of TJ Hawkinson.
Yes. Well, that's what I was saying when he was on the Vikings, right?
Yeah,
And then
but that's who you're looking for, right?
no, the Atlanta wide receiver they literally just drafted. I like him.
Oh, got it.
Oh man,
Yeah,
how am I blanking on his name? Uh
yeah,
this is
same.
gonna oh,
Anyway,
Drake London. Drake
there it
London.
is.
They drafted him last year as well. So I like
Two, one thing you may not know about Drake London is he's falling down.
I was waiting for it. I was
Sorry.
waiting for you to say that. I was like, there's only one thing he could say, and it's
London
that.
Bridge.
Yes. Goodbye,
Sorry.
son. Thank you for fixing my controller. My son's leaving to his mom's.
Thanks, you boo. What's
But
up? Bye bye, buddy.
but so when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you look at the Falcons with, I would dare say, abysmal. I think that's a kind word to describe
Abysmal.
Desmond Ritter's play last
That's a
year.
fun name.
Abysmal. Uh
Abysmal.
Abysmal play last year. The
Abysmal.
Falcons were 2 games behind the Buccaneers. So the Buccaneers re-signed Mike Evans. They re-signed
Mhm.
Baker Mayfield, and they have their defense allowed 325 points against them last year, which is actually pretty good, but not that far off from Atlanta, whose defense kind of fell off. Basically, what I'm saying is Buccaneers are bringing back everybody who made them a 9-8 team. The Falcons are bringing back everybody, signing new guys, and then they're improving in the most
Ooh.
important position on the field to go from, I mean, they're
Okay.
much better than a 7-10 team. That's basically what
Um,
I'm saying.
I just got some information. I don't know if you received it. Um, I like that.
Is it breaking news?
Well, I mean, there's somebody that I think that the Patriots can look into, especially if they don't get Ridley. But Mike Williams was just released
Oh,
from
by
the
the
chart.
Chargers?
Yep.
So with the, and let's switch over to well, last thing on
Sorry,
the,
sorry. I just wanted to put that. Like, I just
no,
see that
no.
Mike
That'll
Williams just
be a
got.
good segu.
Yeah,
But
apparently as of 2 hours ago, he was released after 7 seasons with the Chargers.
yeah. But
Damn.
when it comes to the NFC
Wow.
South, Casino,
Wow.
Buccaneers, Saints, Falcons for your very early pick to win that division next year.
Uh, Bucks.
See,
I
I think
like
I'm going Falcons.
that's totally fine. I totally get it. It would be between those two for sure, in my opinion. But I like Baker. I like I told you, I was kind of if we did not get a quarterback through the draft, the Patriots, I was hoping that it would be Baker. We pick up Baker. But I mean, I'm good for him. Good for him staying over there. He's seems like he's found a home where people want him there and
Yes.
players want to play with him. So I'm excited for him because I always gave him shit. I mean, why not? It's fun. It's Baker Mayfield, Mr. Commercial. But which some of those commercials are phenomenal. I think my favorite one though is with him and the ladies when they're out there watering and they're just talking shit about the other lady. I was like, that's fantastic. Like that makes me giggle every single time.
He
Uh,
does. He could be a very, this is my
get
hot
it,
take. I
get
think
into
Baker
acting.
Mayfield could be a good comedic actor.
I think
He
so. I
just
mean,
put
if
him,
John Cena could do it,
yeah, and he wouldn't even have to do the humiliation ritual or whatever that is. You see the Oscars, Casino,
I
where
did.
John Cena, I love how now that's a humiliation roster to be the guy who looks the best naked ever in a room full of the hottest people on the planet, just naked. Like, what is humiliating about that? If I had John Cena's body, I would also be naked everywhere. So, what are we talking about? If this was, I don't know, if this was Danny DeVito out there naked, then
Uh,
okay, we can say humiliation ritual. It's John Cena who has the peak male body standing on there naked. Nobody was like, I'm so embarrassed for him. Every guy was like, I wish my body looked like that. And every chick was like, I wish that body was against me. So I
True.
don't
I
know
mean,
what we're,
every guy thought the same thing too. Truly,
probably half the guys were like, I wish that
uh,
body was against me.
dude.
But no,
So
it's a
it could, yeah.
humiliation ritual.
So yes, I think he could be a good comedic actor. Like going from professional sports. I mean, because wrestling is still a professional entertainment, sport. That
Professional sports entertainment.
there you go. Thank you.
That's how they
I
get
was I
around
was trying to get around
it.
that because I mean, hey, John Cena. If you haven't watched it, our viewers or listeners, if you've never watched, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name? Him in the DC. Oh my gosh, uh,
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker. Yeah, Peacemaker. The show. You need to. It is absolutely hysterical. He's
It's really
phenomenal
good.
in it. He is
Dude,
phenomenal in
him
it.
and the guy who plays Vigilante. Vigilante
Yeah.
might be my favorite character in a show, like in a superhero show ever. But
Yeah.
let's keep this train rolling, Casino.
Choo
Let's
choo.
move on to, as you were just talking about it, the Chargers. I still hate that they're the Los Angeles Chargers. They are not in
I
they're
hate it.
not.
No.
It's the San Diego
No.
Chargers. Qualcomm Stadium had the
It's like
coolest
what
stadium
it's like
design.
it's like what they did with the Angels. The Anaheim Angels. They're not
Yeah.
the Los Angeles Anaheim Angel
Well, at
collab,
least the
whatever the
Los
thing is. No,
Angeles
they're
Chargers
the
play
Anaheim Angels.
in Los Angeles. Anaheim literally plays in Anaheim and still calls themselves the LA Angels. Like, at least it's not that offensive.
So stupid.
Um,
Ugh, it's
but
awful.
so when it comes to the Chargers, they are one of the few teams that is in quote unquote cap hell, which is uh teams that are still over the cap entering free agency. Now, this was before the Mike Williams news, but the
Yeah,
Dolphins
that release is
are
like about $20 million.
yes. So, and you know what's crazy? They're still going to be under the cap by a million and looks like 1.15 million. The Dolphins are over the cap by 23 million. Bills are over it by 15 million. Saints are over it by 11. Chiefs are over it by 5. 49ers and Ravens are over it by a couple 100,000. So you just restructure a couple contracts and you're fine if you're the 49ers or Ravens. But the shocking one on that list to me, the two that jump out are Saints and Chargers. For them to be that over the cap, like who on their team do they have? Especially the Saints. I mean, how the hell are the Saints that far over free agent or that far over the cap and they have nobody? Like, who do they have?
I mean, let's see. Yeah, they're about 80 to $84 million over the cap.
That
Like
is insane.
that's wow. Yeah, how? That doesn't make any sense here.
And so
Whatever.
the Chargers, the thing coming out of this free agency period was the Chargers had to make two cuts of their really big players that they signed for a shitload of money. So Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Mike Williams, or Keenan Allen, they had to get rid of two of them, right? And I think there was another guy they also. I know they lost Eckler, but I think his contract was already up. So they had to make a bunch of cuts. And so far, they released Eric Kendricks, their tackle, cornerback, and then Mike Williams. They signed Gus Edwards, Gus the Bus. They
Gus the
signed Will
Bus.
Disley at tight end, and then they re-signed their safety. So if you're the
So
Chargers, it looks like you've kind of cleared out a little. The Saints, I don't know what you're going to do if you're the Saints.
I mean, so I'm looking at it right now. Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, are a lot of that, and then just a whole bunch of people at, at like 3 to 5 million, which
I
is
don't. I mean, I don't understand the Taysom Hill thing at all. I don't understand it. I don't. He's a what's that saying where it's like a the thing where you have a lot of skills but you're a master at none of them, right? So it's like he is what, an average quarterback, an average running back, an average tight end, but because he can do all of them subparly, he deserves like to get paid. I don't know. I've never understood that. There was one year where he was like really cooking, and every other year I'm just like, why is this guy? Why is he? Why is he the way that he is?
why
Uh,
are you the way that you are?
he's the Toby Flenderson of the NFL, which I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. That's my hot take for today. My free agency frenzy hot take is that Taysom Hill is the Toby Flenderson of the NFL. Take take that with
Nice.
what
So
you will.
I just sent you over Messenger the salary cap calculator for the Saints, just so you could kind of get a grip of what's going on. You don't have to check it out now, but just to
Oh.
make sense for you later.
Yeah. Also, speaking of that, now let's move on to my team, Casino, which is the Philadelphia Eagles, which I would like to read this to you, which I found out today, and it blows my mind.
Okay.
So with the Eagles making one of the biggest free agent signings and signing Saquon Barkley next year, okay, for Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Saquon Barkley, all of those total cap hits for 2024 will be $36.2 million.
That's a steal.
So for the 4-star offensive players, $36.2 million. The cap hit next year for Dak Prescott on the Cowboys will be $59 million. The cap hit for the Giants for Daniel Jones will be $47 million.
What's the dead
So
cap? What's the dead cap for Broncos and Russell?
it is $80 million. So next year, the stars of the Eagles offense combined will be 36. The quarterbacks for the Giants and Cowboys will be more than the 4 starters for the Eagles, which is just
And the
insane.
Broncos will be playing, and the Broncos will be paying all more than that just
Yeah.
for
Almost
a
all
player they
that
don't
combined
for a
for
player
a
they don't
player
even
they
have.
don't have. Dear Lord. But let's talk
Oh,
about
wow.
my team, Casino. So I just mentioned it there. They signed Saquon Barkley 3 years for
Great deal.
$38 million.
Such a
Thoughts
steal,
on
bro.
that deal before we get to the other ones?
I think it's a phenomenal deal. I mean, I know that we were sad that that little Swift left. I mean, great player in my opinion. I thought he was a great player. I know that you have your thoughts. You're like, DeAndre Swift's like okay, but I mean, going to the Bears, he's never going to have a good career ever again. But but getting Saquon, who's literally the backbone of of the Giants, like we discussed how many times last year. Oh, who do they have? Daniel Jones on occasion when he plays out above every expectation anybody ever has for him. You have Daniel Jones on that team, or you have Saquon Barkley. Say the offense ran through Saquon Barkley. Ooh. So I'm glad that he's going over to the Eagles because he's going to have an actual quarterback that can run the ball, that can throw the ball, and he's going to have a nice offensive line. Yes, the offensive line isn't going to be as good, especially with Jason Kelsey out, as previous years, but it's still going to be a really good offensive line. In my opinion, it'll be the Giants' offensive line is not horrid, but it's not better than the Eagles' line by a good margin. So I think this is going to be great for Saquon. He's not going to have to touch the ball every other offensive snap. So I think this is really going to help him out. And who do you guys still have for running backs?
We have Kenneth
Gainwell.
Gainwell. We
Yep.
got rid of Boston Scott, which depressed me because he was known as the giant killer, and he would always have his best games against the Giants. But
Mhm.
now it'll be fun to see Saquon have his best games against the Giants. When we were recording the podcast yesterday, my mom literally texted me in the middle of the
Yeah, this is a
show
good
and
story.
said, Barkley is going to the Eagles. Now our team is really going to suck because my step dad is a Giants fan. So my mom is a de facto Giants fan just by osmosis. But I text her back and I said, I know it's awesome. Ha ha. And she replied back, you're a brat. So great. Saquon Barkley signing with the Eagles pissed my mom off and my stepdad, which made me happy. So, but the other move that happened for the Eagles after we recorded the podcast yesterday was they re-signed one of my favorite Eagles for the 1 year he was here, and now he'll be here for 3 more years, here being Philadelphia, even though we're recorded in Vegas, but I'm a fan. You get it.
Yeah.
It is safety CJ Gardner Johnson, who signed for 3 years, max 33 million, which means there's some incentives to get him up to 33 million. But it was funny because he went to the Lions. The Lions fans hated him because he was a disrespectful asshole, which is why Philadelphia loved him. And then all he did was talk shit about how obnoxious Eagle fans are. and then we re-signed him, and then he was just like, I still think you guys are obnoxious, but I'm glad to be on your team, which I love because Eagles fans are obnoxious, but if you're a good player, they will literally worship you more than any franchise will worship a player. So I like that he talked shit about the fans and then he came back and he didn't apologize and he was just like, you guys know I'm right, but I'm happy to be here. Perfect response. I love it. He will be welcome back here, especially because, again, I like asshole players when they're on my team. I
That's fair.
like
I can't.
nobody likes the Eagles anyways if you're outside of being an Eagles fan. So people outside of the Eagles hating Eagles players, it just feeds into just the it's like the Emperor said, Casino, let the hate flow through you and it makes
Ugh.
you stronger. Oh,
Ugh.
it makes you
It's
stronger.
worse when you say it. By the
But
way, so
also
I opened up Facebook so I could send you that over Messenger, and the first thing that's on my feed is is your kid cleaning that
helping with my controller.
cleaning that
Yeah.
controller. That's
He
awesome.
took it apart all by himself.
Yeah, good for him.
But also with the Eagles, they signed your former favorite player, Devontae Parker, on a deal that makes no sense to me. But
Good
again, it's
riddance.
1 year.
Get the
He'll be
fuck out of
wide
here.
receiver 3 or 4.
Don't worry, they'll
So I don't know why we would do
don't
that.
worry. He's got a curse on him. Every third down, they'll be throwing to him in double coverage. He's just got that. Oh, we're gonna do it. We're gonna send it to him. It's gonna be what's up. He's gonna catch it. He's great. He's great.
Yeah.
He's a DeAndre.
Uh,
He's a DeAndre Hopkins. You know, he's a Julio Jones. You know, where you can just throw the football up and they'll catch it. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Also
Ugh.
for the Eagles, they
I say
released,
no.
as you said, DeAndre Swift and then Kevin Byard, who both went to the Bears.
Byard.
Then we signed, Saquon Barkley and CJ Gardner-Johnson. So both upgrades in those positions. Jason Kelsey retired, which we talked about last time. Fletcher Cox retired, which just happened. Sad to see him go. Favorite jersey to wear is the one that says Cox on the back, right? Because it's funny. He was maybe the best shit talker
Why?
in NFL history. We extended Landon Dickerson, who will be taking over for Jason Kelsey as the center. And then we not re-signed, but extended Jake Elliott, 4 years, $24 million, which makes him the second highest paid kicker in the league behind only Justin Tucker, which is fitting because I think he might be the best kicker in the league behind Justin Tucker. So all the Eagles signings this offseason, Casino, are going to make me do that meme where it's
Easy on your words here.
where she's like, oh shit, you're going to make me. And then it's the meme is you can put whatever you want there. For me, it would be believe, right?
Nice.
Oh shit, you're going to make me believe.
Yeah.
That might be the YouTube YouTube thumbnail if I can put it on YouTube. We'll see.
That'd be really good. Well, I mean, still my favorite one of using that same thumbnail. I did an In-N-Out one, which was phenomenal. Said you're gonna make me spread. It was great.
Oh yeah. Too dirty, Casino. This is a family show.
It is. I'm talking about the spread, bro. The spread is really good.
The spread. But let's move on to the other probably biggest running back signing, which is Derrick Henry, signed with the Baltimore Ravens, 2 years, $16 million. Now, we can tie the Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry thing together because the complaints of people outside, because obviously if you're a Ravens fan, if you're an Eagles fan, you're losing your shit that you got
You want to come say hi to the podcast?
Running backs in the league.
But you want to
But
come peek over and say hello?
Hello, podcast. Oh, I don't.
is she saying hello?
No, she's flashing me her boobs.
Oh, nice.
No, she didn't. That's only your wife.
She's not home, so we're both boobless.
No, I don't need to see your boob leaking from breastfeeding. All right, let's get this.
There's no Segu here. There's no Segu.
There's no. This is a family show.
But as I was saying, Casino, before
Jesus.
your wife's boobs interrupted us, the thing tying together Barkley and Henry were, if you're an Eagles fan, you're a Ravens fan, you're ecstatic. If you're outside of those two fan bases, you're looking at these two signings and saying the problems for the Eagles and Ravens were both on the defensive side of the ball. These were two of the best rushing teams already last year. So it more feels like dessert than it does feel like real food, if that makes sense. So Derrick Henry signs with the
Don't.
Ravens.
Sorry.
They were already the number one rushing team last year. Eagles, I believe, finished top 2 or 3. If you are building a team, Casino, would you rather get the best player available in free agency or shore up, your defensive side of the ball with maybe some more pieces instead of dessert?
I mean, it all comes about what you have money wise, man. In my opinion, like for instance, with the Patriots right now, they have already a pretty good defense, but what they're not doing is spending the second highest cap available, and they're not spending to get the players that they need for offense that they've always struggled with. Like Calvin Ridley, he's still out there. I'm hoping they need another good wide receiver. So, I mean, if you don't feel comfortable, I always think defenses can keep you in games. But I mean, that's a pretty good dessert. So, I mean, it's
So
like
the
I,
offensive moves your team have made, they signed Okafor, the tackle. They re-signed Hunter Henry. They re-signed Kendrick Bourne. They signed Antonio Gibson. They released Devontae Parker, which is an upgrade.
upgrade.
They re-signed Oniwa, the tackle. Again, Casino loves when I
And
butcher these names.
I'm just gonna let you
Uh,
butcher them.
they signed Jacoby Brissett, who at the moment we haven't
Is
even
our starting
talked about.
quarterback.
Mac Jones was traded to the Jaguars, so at the moment he's your
We don't
starting
really.
quarterback.
Yeah, he's our starting quarterback by far.
They signed Austin Hooper, which is a great tight end signing to pair him with Hunter Henry,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
then they
Because
re-signed.
John Smith did nothing when we had him.
Yeah. And then last but not least, they re-signed our favorite wide receiver, Jalen Rager. So thoughts on those moves, Casino?
Well, I mean, and they also kept around Uchi, which is a great. I like everything that they've done so far, but they could be doing more. That's my only thing, is they could be doing
They've
more.
done I think they've done what we were just talking about with the Eagles and Ravens. They've done kind of smaller pieces to fill needs, but they haven't done a big splashy free
Yeah,
agent
and
signing.
well, I mean, Saquon Barkley is a splash. I don't know what you're talking
No, I'm
about, man.
talking about the Patriots.
I know, but you were saying like the Eagles and blah blah blah. But
Oh, yeah. No, I'm
no.
saying the Eagles and Ravens made big splashy
Oh
moves
yeah, yeah.
instead of doing little
So I
pieces.
mean, here's the thing: if the Patriots can pull off, I mean, well, now with Williams out there, we'll see. But if they could pull off the Calvin Ridley thing, I'd be happy with how our free agency went. Because then you're in that with bringing in Jacoby Brissett, he's going to either be your starter or your backup, depending on how the draft goes of what we do there. But this tells me that they're going to pull in a quarterback at one or at their first pick. So yeah, I'm all right with what's going on in that aspect. But it sucks. Right after they signed Gibson, we had a couple more free agents for running backs become available, and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah,
Damn
right.
it.
Almost an hour after that happened,
Yeah.
Joe Mixon got traded to the Texans.
Yeah.
I think he would have been a perfect fit
I think it
for
would have
the
been
Patriots.
awesome. Ugh.
Also, as of an hour ago, and this is sourced by Bleacher Report, Calvin Ridley's market has been very strong and believed to be a 2-horse race between remaining with the
Jaguars and
Jaguars
Patriots.
or the Patriots.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what it was. That's what it was
Jacksonville
still yesterday. But Jacksonville is definitely the front runner apparently. And
They've made it clear they love Ridley and want to retain him, which is interesting because if we jump over to the Jaguars, they just signed, let me go to it right now. They just signed a new wide receiver in Devin Duvernay, but that wasn't the big
Duvernay.
one. The big one was they signed Gabe Davis from the Buffalo Bills on a 3-year, almost $40 million contract.
Mhm.
So if they pair him with Calvin Ridley, that would be a really good wide receiver duo. I don't know if you're the Jaguars, if you let Calvin Ridley go and think Gabe Davis can be a wide receiver one, right? Because we've seen him have
Yeah.
success opposite Stephon Diggs. So I don't know. I never like having the second best wide receiver on a team go to another team and be the number one option, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the Patriot way, though. We get all the scraps.
Yeah, you get all the wide receiver twos and
That's what I
threes.
did. We need if they can pull off the Calvin Ridley signing, like at this point, like that's all they should be worried about. Just pay Calvin Ridley what he wants. You're gonna overpay at this point. It is what it is. Just you're gonna
Yeah.
overpay for him. But what that does is it's gonna open up the market for other people saying, "Ooh, let's go to the Patriots now." Like they're real contenders. They've got with re-signing Kendrick Bourne as a 2, and then um, giving Ridley as a 1. Gibson is okay, but like the running backs for the Patriots have always been fairly all right. I still like Ramondre Stevenson there. I think that's going to be a good duo. So I mean, really, I just think they need a wide receiver 1, and then hopefully luck out in the draft between whoever's available at 3. That's my hopes for it, and yeah, man, that's Calvin.
Yeah.
Like if they get Calvin Ridley, I'd be okay with. I would give it a B. I would give their whole free agency a B. They re-signed a lot of the defensive players that I like. A lot of people on the line, and that's yeah. Anyway, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, looking
That's
at
where
their
I'm at.
moves, I don't hate it, especially if,
I
like
don't
you
hate the
said,
moves. I don't hate the moves. They're
yeah,
just and they're good pieces, but they're all like B level pieces. We need a big land. We need Calvin Ridley. We need a big splash. And he comes over there. He knows he's going to be option number 1. I mean, he's already option number 1 over in Jacksonville. But you come to the Patriots. You are number 1. You know what Trevor Lawrence can do. You already have reached his ceiling, in my opinion, on that team. And see what you can do with a young quarterback with a brand new coach.
yeah. Do you think at this moment, based on what free agency has happened, you think the Patriots draft a quarterback?
Yes.
I do as well. I do as well, especially, and I think that's also really smart bringing Jacoby Brissett back because I
Great,
feel
great
like he
deal.
can be a starter. He'd be a great mentor. He's been with the Patriots before, so
And
that's a
I've
great
always
move.
liked Jacoby Brissett. It's late in the games that bothers me, but just don't give him the football late in the game. Give it to Gibson, give it to Ramondre, however you want to do it. So that's where I'm at with that. So I like Jacoby Brissett. I think he's not the best backup quarterback in the game, but he's a solid backup quarterback in the game. And I think where we're at with him, he's got some years under his belt. I'm okay with him. I mean, look
Yeah.
what he did last year. Look what he did last year. I mean, he was pretty dang good. Um,
And we're just jumping over here all the place, but let's
yeah.
move to the
Sorry,
Packers
sorry.
casino. No, no, I like this. It feels
They do.
very
There's so
free flowing. It's so
you
many.
should you showed me the list yesterday when you started going through it. I'm just like, how do we keep up? How do we keep up?
Yeah. That's why I'm just trying to keep with the big names and obviously the teams we're interested in. Next up is Josh Jacobs signed with the Green Bay Packers,
Yes,
4
he
years,
did.
$48 million. They lost Aaron Jones,
They're running
who,
back. But I mean,
yes,
who would you rather, Aaron Jones or Josh Jacobs?
I would rather have Josh Jacobs.
I
Now,
would
the
too.
thing with the Saquon Barkley thing was, oh, he's missed a lot of time. He's missed a lot of time. Besides the season where he missed the entire season, he's missed 8 games in like 5 years. So I don't know where this thing came that he's injury prone. I
Mhm.
kind of feel like that's the same way with Josh Jacobs. Like he's got the thing where he's been injury prone, but when you look at the total number of games, it really hasn't been that much. Now, where I will say is people are saying the Saquon deal where he gets 38 million for 3 years is too rich. Then you look across the over to Wisconsin, and you see Josh Jacobs, 4 years, 48 million. Now, we both love Josh Jacobs. We obviously saw him when he was here with the Raiders in Vegas, but 4 years, $48 million. Is that too much to pay a running back in this era of NFL football?
I mean, right now, I don't think it is personally if the market was where it's supposed to be, but it's not. So, I mean, this is a very expensive move here. Yes, you have the availability to pay him this because you have so many young players on your team. You don't have to worry about that much money currently. Um, so I'm fine with it. I don't know about 4 years. I maybe go 3, just so you give yourself a little leeway. But I think Josh Jacobs coming over to this very young team. This team's even younger than what they were going to be last year, or than what they were last year.
Yes.
I think Jordan Love can. I think if Jordan Love can play to how he ended the second half of the season last year, and then in the playoffs, which I mean, he almost won 2 playoff games. Um, this Green Bay Packers team can be very dangerous. Like, they have a real good shot of making the conference championship.
Yes. So they released Aaron Jones, who immediately went and signed with the Minnesota Vikings. They replaced him with Josh Jacobs. Their two older players, Bakhtiari and Devondre Campbell, they both released them, which made the youngest team in the league even younger by releasing their 2 older players. And then they signed the former Giant safety Xavier McKinney for 4 years, $68 million. So
that's a good move for the safety. I mean, he almost went to the Eagles. Like, there was talks about that. Which, I mean, if you got him as well, dude, your team would have been. Your team's looking good. Your team's doing a real good job.
I was impressed they didn't get McKinney, and then they brought back CJ Gardner-Johnson, and then I was like, "Fuck McKinney! I'd rather have Johnson just because I like his attitude."
As in the words of you when you sent this to me, "Ooh, baby." What I have underneath that clip, and is that how you meant to say it too when you typed it out?
Ooh, I said it. But we look at the Green Bay Packers. They re-signed everybody. The only people they lost were, Bakhtiari. There is 100% chance. I would be shocked if he does not go to the Jets, because that was one of the Aaron Rodgers guys who was like, you always saw him and Aaron Rodgers out everywhere. So that if he does not end up on the Jets, I will legitimately be shocked. But then you look at in the NFC last year, everybody was super high on the Lions, and then 1 or 2 plays go different. They're in the Super Bowl, right? So this year, going into the offseason, the 2 teams, one in the NFC, one in the AFC, that everybody is super high on is the Packers we just talked about, who I think we like both their moves, signing an all-pro safety, getting an upgrade at wide receiver, or an upgrade at running back, or not even an upgrade, just sliding over to a younger, maybe potentially better running back than Aaron Jones. And then you look at what the Houston Texans, which is the AFC,
love it.
Look at who they've signed or re-signed. That is all just Texans.
They pull over the edge rusher, Daniel Hunter. Great move. Pulled him over from the Vikings. 2 years of $49 million, 48 of which guaranteed.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
Good Lord.
I know. Yeah. But what's up?
Yes. And then they re-signed Desmond King. They re-signed basically their entire defense. They signed a bunch of linebackers, a bunch of pass rushers. They acquired Joe Mixon yesterday in a trade. They re-signed Dalton Schultz. So they re-signed or added to basically every part of their defense, re-signed their key offensive guys, brought over a pass-catching running back to pair with their already young offense. I think right now, dark horse candidate to be in the AFC Championship game next year. Houston
Do
Texans?
we? Yeah, yeah. Do we just call it now? Do we just want to say Packers Houston Super Bowl?
I mean, I would love that because at least it would be something or
Ugh.
different, right?
Yeah,
As
but I
long
don't
as
know what
it's
I. But here's the thing: I don't know who I would cheer for because I hate all Texas teams. I just can't stand.
I'm right there with you.
Dude. I
Yeah.
mean, I know you are. But we absolutely love. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. The quarterback. Blah, 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 blah. Uh, I'm still having some fog from yesterday. The Texans quarterback, this
CJ
CJ
Stroud.
Stroud. Yeah, CJ Stroud. I like it was. Um, but I mean, we love CJ Stroud. And we want to see him do well, but I don't know if I could cheer for the Texans in the Super Bowl. And then I've always hated Green Bay just for two reasons. One, like one of my best friend's dads growing up, who was like another dad to me. He before he passed, I mean, he's passed away, but diehard Bears fan. Um, but and then the Packers just had two quarterbacks that I absolutely hate with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So I've always kind of hated them ever since I've known football. So I don't want to. I wouldn't want to cheer. So that I don't know what I would do in that situation if it was one of those two. It would be very interesting and very fun to watch, but I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Who would you cheer for? Packers?
I've kind of always had a soft spot for the Packers. I
That's
mean,
fair.
I loved when
So,
he had Brett Favre and then
uh,
uh
gross.
all the see, I used to love Brett Favre, and then it was revealed that he was just a super asshole creep, but not in like a fun way. Like, I mean, the asshole part, obviously the creep part, you can't be in a fun way, but all that shit kind of soured my Brett Favre love. And then I've
Eh,
never
but
liked Aaron Rodgers, as we've
so
known on
so
this
that's
podcast.
kind of where I am with like the Bears. Like they've always had a soft spot. Like I'm not a Chicago Bears fan by any means, but
Yeah.
by association, I've always like in that rivalry. I'm like, yeah, go Bears. Yet,
Well, also NFC North, none of those teams are really hateable, right? Like you got the
right?
Bears, you got the Vikings, you got the Lions, you got the Packers. It's kind of all just teams where you're just like, I don't hate them necessarily. I don't love
Yeah, you know
them,
what?
but I'm
That's a
rooting
good
for them.
that's a good point because even with the Packers, like I don't despise them. I
Yeah.
hate key players. That might be the division where I just yeah whatever. I don't
You just
care
like
about.
seeing them do good. I hope in my lifetime I see the Vikings win a Super Bowl. I see the
Uh,
Lions win a Super Bowl.
dude,
I'd be fine not seeing
I
the
really
Packers win a Super Bowl.
I really hope Jordan Love doesn't because I like the guy. I like the guy. I really hope he doesn't turn out to be another Rodgers or Brett Favre just to be an asshole weirdo like creep.
Um,
Uh,
but let's move to the Bears casino because as we
there
just talked about,
there was a
they
big
signed Swift.
non-signing.
Yeah, they signed Swift. They signed Kevin Bynard. I don't know how to say his last name, as I've tried to say it 5 times. But the market is still open for Justin Fields. Everybody thought, including us, he was going to go to Atlanta. Kirk Cousins signs with Atlanta. Now there is this weird thing where they just signed a quarterback today in Brett Ripon, who is a backup. I don't think he's a starter, but Bears have signed up pretty much all tackles, defensive guys, a lot of safeties, a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of guys on the offensive line, which is good. But when it comes to Justin Fields, is this an indication that the Bears are going to keep him and either trade the first overall pick, or are they just going to throw their hands up and say, fuck it, and keep Justin Fields while also drafting Caleb Williams?
They're definitely going to keep draft Caleb Williams. Like if they don't draft Caleb Williams, I don't. The Bears need to move to a different city. Like it just get rid of their entire front office. Just like leave them there, leave the front office there, and just go elsewhere. Because Caleb Williams might be that generational player that everybody wants as a number one pick. There's that normally never pans out. That number one pick is like almost never pans out. As I kind of briefed on yesterday, but now we have to redo the podcast because somebody messed up on the back end. But like Brady, Rodgers, a lot of these like super famous quarterbacks that they weren't that number one overall pick. So uh, I can,
it's tough.
but
Yeah.
if you don't pick him, and he pans out, and you had that opportunity to pick him, and you've never had a franchise quarterback,
You're gonna
like
be haunted by it, like when you had the chance to draft, Patrick, Mahomes, and you passed on him, and now the Chiefs have 3 Super Bowls, right? It's gonna be that same thing.
it's gonna
It's
be the
just
same
gonna
thing.
be
I
and plus
don't know if Bears fans can handle it again. I just don't know.
no, and you've never had a franchise quarterback. Everybody thought Justin Fields would be better than he actually
Uh,
is, but
Man, I never get on Facebook. I truly never get on Facebook. I only have Facebook for the Messenger app. But
yeah.
somebody posted OJ Simpson had a better run with the Broncos than Russell Wilson. That's fantastic.
uh, which actually, speaking of the Broncos, and we just brought up the Chiefs, let's segue to the Chiefs and the top defensive lineman signings, which have been fourfold, Casino, which is the Chiefs re-signed Chris Jones. 5 years, almost $160 million, which it is crazy to think that over a quarter of their cap is just tied to Chris Jones and Patrick Mahomes. Like, and then they're about to lose Travis Kelsey. They will potentially lose him in a year or two when he retires. And then they lost Tyreek Hill, but hey, they keep winning Super Bowls, and Chris Jones was a big reason for that. Next up was the Baltimore Ravens re-signed. Oh my God, I can't.
Try it.
Justin
Just do it.
Madubuike.
Great.
Madubuike. That's my best attempt. And then the Dolphins lost maybe the biggest free agent
The Dolphins
defensive
lost.
tackle.
Dolphins lost everybody. The
Yeah.
Patriots might not get last in the division this year, which is
Oh,
freaking.
that's a bold prediction.
I said might.
But
I mean, dude, the Dolphins lost so much, dude. Outside of Hill and Tua, like they've
yeah,
lost a lot, man.
they lost Christian Wilkins, who signed with the Las Vegas Raiders on a 4-year, $110 million deal. And then Leonard Williams re-signed with the Seattle Seahawks for 3 years, $64 million. So of those moves, Casino, do you like the Christian Wilkins to the Raiders one? And then do you like the Chris Jones re-signing, or do you think 160 million is too much?
For a defensive lineman, that's a lot, man.
Now,
Th-
but he might be the best defensive lineman in the NFL, maybe only second to Aaron Donald.
it's still that's
It's a
I
lot.
don't that's a lot of money. I don't like these mega contracts. They always destroy teams. They always destroy teams. No matter how much I like the Kirk Cousins, like I like Kirk Cousins, that 4 years, 180 million, $23 million signing bonus. Like that's so much money, man. If in my opinion, it's too much. It's too much. So I don't care for that deal. It's I mean, the Chiefs wanted him. The Chiefs paid for him. They want to win another Super Bowl. They want to do it. Um,
And he's a
and
big reason why on the defense, their defense
yep.
is good at all. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
he
I mean,
causes so much
he is the defense.
disruption.
And that's the thing. Is he is the defense. Even if he's not getting the sacks, even if he's not, you know, the other players aren't that good. They look better and they're going to perform better because Chris Jones just creates so much chaos rushing in that he creates so much issue for the other team that all the other players around him may not be anywhere close to his caliber, but they're going to look a lot better because everybody's focused on him and he creates so much chaos. So, I mean, it's a great move to keep him if they really want to try to go and three-peat, which, I mean, when was the last time that's been done? I mean, the last time the repeat's been done is the Patriots back in the 03, 03
04.
04 season.
I
So
don't
I
think a
mean,
three-peat's ever happened,
I don't
right?
know.
Has there ever been a Super Bowl three-peat?
Alexa,
I'll
has
look
there
it up
ever
right
been a Super
now.
Bowl three-peat?
The Super
Nope. She just said in Super Bowl 3. No, Alexa, just stop. You just
Uh,
my Alexa's
in the
dumb.
104-year history of the NFL, only the 1929 to 31 and
Oh, and it
1965 to
just
67 Packers have won 3
wow.
straight titles.
So this just broke. This just broke via my brother. I'm gonna confirm it. Ridley apparently has signed
Oh, with the Titans.
with the
Who saw
Titans.
that coming?
Not me.
Uh,
I'm very sad. Okay.
Calvin
So
Ridley is
Mike
signing with
Williams.
the Titans for 4 years, $92 million. Where did that come from? Especially
I
to
don't know.
sign in the division when the Jaguars apparently loved him so much they've just let him go to a division rival. That is insane.
That's so. What do you think of that
Wow.
contract? Too much?
Way too much. 4 years, $92 million.
So
Dear
no wonder the
Lord.
Patriots. So I heard the Patriots were being stingy, in the front office on paying players during free agency. Um, but I can see why not getting Calvin Ridley. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. Lot of, especially for the Titans. Like, what are the Titans doing? They
I
have
don't know.
Will Levis, and who else? They
Drop it
lost
here,
Derrick
drop it
Henry.
hot. Welcome, dude. Jeez Louise, man.
And don't they still have DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah.
So they have, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley is going to be scary, but is Will Levis the guy? I don't know.
I don't
Who
know.
are they going to have at running back? I don't know. What are they going to do defensively? I don't know. That seems like a weird move for a team that doesn't feel like they're a team that feels like they're rebuilding. It doesn't feel like they're one piece away. But speaking of big money, dear Lord, that was crazy that was just broke
Mhm.
right now when we were literally just talking about him. But last move I wanted
Well,
to talk about.
I mean, to help out, but I mean, Tony Pollard, he just went over there. He's going to Tennessee, as well. Plus, then they have their rookie who was doing pretty good out of the backfield. Uh, I don't know how to say it, Tajay Spears. Spears, what I always called
Yeah.
him. So I mean, he's got some weapons. So I mean, he's got
Yeah,
a
but
lot of
is he
he's
the
got a lot
guy?
of good. Yes, I right. Is he the guy? But you can't if Will Levis does not have a good season with what he has in the backfield and now as two A1 and A2 receivers on his team, then he's not the guy.
Yeah. And their offensive line has also been always pretty good, especially blocking for Derrick Henry. So I don't know. Maybe the Titans
And they
might
just
be a dark horse team.
yeah, and they just pulled a couple guards. So I mean, and a new center. So we'll see here.
Maybe all that rests on the shoulders of if Will Levis is good or not. And also, they got a new head coach. So who knows? Maybe
Yeah, I
that
mean,
coach just comes in and
yeah.
who
So we'll
knows?
see.
I don't
I
know.
mean, that maybe
Um,
also, like I said, having that um yeah, a center with Lloyd Cushenberry, which I like his name.
ooh, that's a good
Um, yeah, right, Cushenberry. Um,
one.
sorry,
But let's
I could have
move
gone.
on.
I could have gone real bad with that name. I'm good.
One of the biggest free agents that signed, again, all these
God
guys
damn it.
signing in their own
Yep.
divisions.
Now I'm
Uh,
sad.
Patrick Queen went from the Ravens to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3 years, $41 million. This, the Titans thing just made me pop this question in my head, Casino. We have the Saquon thing, we have the Calvin Ridley, we have the Patrick Queen. What is with all the biggest free agents signing within their own divisions? That seems crazy.
People hating, man.
I mean, the only good thing is next year it's going to be real fun to see all these guys have to go up against their former teams twice a year, maybe a potential third time in the playoffs, and then just get revenge games 2-3 times a year. You know how much I love revenge games.
Hmm.
Next year, we also get to see Wilson go back to Denver to play Sean Payton. So that's not even in division. That's just Steelers luckily getting to play the Broncos. So that's fun. Also, the last 3 moves I wanted to talk about. Josh Allen, the pass rusher, not the quarterback, was franchise tagged by the Jaguars. Daniel Hunter signed with the Texans, 2 years, $49 million. Bryce Huff from the Jets signed with the Philadelphia Eagles, 3 years, $51 million. And then last but not least, and this is the one I wanted to talk about, Brian Burns was franchise tagged by the Carolina Panthers and then traded to the New York Giants for a second and fifth round pick when earlier in the season, teams were going to give up as much as 2 first round picks to trade for Brian Burns. So the Panthers currently right now, are they the worst run franchise in the NFL?
Oh yeah, as of right now, that them and the Broncos, they're trading.
I think those would be my 2 picks as well. Maybe throw Arizona in there. And it's no coincidence that those are the 3 teams that, I mean, the Panthers were, I don't even think arguably the worst team in the league last year. And their offseason has just made you scratch their head and go, what are they even trying to do? So they franchise tagged their star defensive player and then immediately traded him. They acquired in a trade Deontay Johnson from the Steelers. When the Steelers are willingly giving you one of their wide receivers, I feel like that's a red flag, right? We saw it with Chase Claypool. We saw what happened with Antonio Brown. It just seems like don't accept, especially a trade for a wide receiver from the Steelers. They also released Von Bell. They lost Jeremy Chin as well. I just think they released Hayden Hurst. It looks like for the past 2-3 seasons, the Carolina Panthers have just been in rebuilding mode, but every time one of their young players gets good, they just release him or trade him. So what is the end game there? I have no idea whatsoever. Any more moves, Casino, that you wanted to talk about? I think we covered all the big ones.
Yeah.
If I'm missing any of them.
I don't know. Now I'm just trying to
see who can be your wide receiver 1 or 2.
I mean, if I'm seeing this right, I think Curtis Samuel's still up there, Marquise Brown's still up there unless he's signed that I didn't see.
You could get Hollywood Brown. You could get Tyler Boyd, Odell Beckham.
I don't want
Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Donovan Peoples-Jones. All these people with 3 names are still available, Casino.
I mean,
you could get.
I mean, Marquise Brown. Like, I don't know.
Hold on. Breaking news. Move of the offseason. The Eagles they did release. I did not know this. They released Quez Watkins. Move of the free agency, Casino, because God did he annoy the absolute shit out of me. If
don't want him
they
back?
would have leased Gainwell. No, but again, is it an upgrade to Devontae Parker? I don't know. But any other moves, Casino, or can we wrap up this free agent?
We can
frenzy?
wrap up. I had a whole bunch of hockey stuff pulled up.
Yeah, that has been Free Agent Frenzy. We will talk about, I don't even know if there is any more moves to be made, but if there is, we will talk about them on next episode. Let's move over to hockey. We'll touch on basketball a little and then get out of here.
I got to get out of here soon. I work earlier today because different job. So we won't be able to talk much. We'll have to get to hockey and NBA on another day. But I will just say this with hockey because it's us. This is very topical. It's Vegas. But they are the reigning Stanley Cup champions. During this trade deadline, they've by far crushed it. They had the best trade deadline acquisitions. There we go. I can never say that word right. Out there, and a lot of people are upset because how in hockey works, if you put a player on long-term injury, their cap does not hit for the team anymore until you bring them back in. But once you reach the playoffs, the cap does not exist. So like Mark Stone, the captain for the Vegas Knights, he's on long-term injury. and he wouldn't come back until the playoffs started, like he did last year. And essentially, the Knights could have like $10+ million worth of free cap coming back to the roster after they've already acquired some people. Plus, they also got another person, one of the best players in the league, playing for one of the worst teams, Hurdle from the Sharks. They pulled him. He's also on that, and he wouldn't be available to the playoffs. So a lot of teams and a lot of fans of other teams are very frustrated that the Knights are doing this bend the rules situation, because, like I said, they crushed free agent or crushed the trade deadline. However, the Lightning did it to win multiple cups just a handful of years ago. They did that multiple times, when the player that was injured and not coming back to the playoffs was practicing with the team for 2 months before they started the playoffs. So this has been a thing going all the way since the Chicago Blackhawks won in like 2011. That team's been doing this, but it's funny to read it every year when teams get mad on teams that could potentially win the cup. So it makes me laugh, but the Knights are killing it, and they need to, because they're currently only sitting in the wild card 2 spot. They won 2 games, I think, all of February.
Ugh.
Not good. Yeah, they went from like
Hey, but at
second in
least
the
it's the
division.
shortest month.
Yeah. So very
Ugh.
tough, very tough. But it's funny, it's topical. If you just want to, if you get on any hockey site right now, you're just going to be reading articles and articles about that, about how Vegas is working the system. And I mean, I remember the same thing when the Lightning were doing it. I was like, man, that sucks. I wasn't too happy about it. But now it's happening for my team, and it's not doing anything wrong. It's just you're living within the rules.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see why people are upset.
And then to switch over to NBA before we get out of here, Celtics in the East, still the clear number 1 seed.
Oh, they're
I mean, they have a
dominating.
9.5 game lead over the Bucks, and the Bucks have looked real hit or miss, especially since Doc Rivers became their coach. It's just been a real mixed bag. The real conversation, though, is happening over in the West, which I said my pick to win the NBA Finals was just going to be a repeating Denver Nuggets. They have started their ascension towards the last month or two of this season. They are now tied in first place with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City Thunder, I'll tell you what, them and the Nuggets have had great games this season. It's been really back and forth. I really hope this is the Western Conference Finals. And then you have the Minnesota Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards in third place. They just demolished the Clippers last night, but the Clippers got demolished almost you can pinpoint the second the Timberwolves started dominating them was when what's his name? When Kawhi Leonard got knocked out of the game with an injury. That was the 100% the turning point. Clippers might have won that game if he stayed in. But yeah, so it is a clear number 1 seed in the East. And then in the West, it is a race for that number 1 seed between the top 3 teams, all a half a game apart from each other, with the Thunder, Nuggets, Timberwolves. I still think Nuggets come out of the West regardless of what seed they are, but I would think it would be a very interesting Western Conference Finals if we have Thunder, Timberwolves. It'd be 2 new teams, 2 really young teams. You have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander on the Thunder and then Anthony Edwards on the Minnesota side. So yeah, NBA's been really cooking the past couple weeks. Really good games, really interesting games, and especially besides the East, basically the West is all kind of the fun younger teams in the mix with Pelicans, Timberwolves, Thunder, Nuggets, Clippers, Suns are kind of the old stalwarts, but still, it's been fun. Anything else before we get out of here, Casino?
Yep. Next, just gearing up for next episode. Next time you see us will be after Selection Sunday, and we will be fully in March Madness mode. And man, I've been waiting for it. I love college basketball, which, by the way, so that Duke player that hurt himself, did you see him leg swipe the other player that was on that was trying to run on the.
I did not.
Oh, dude, yeah. So, fuck that guy. I wish that Wake Forest fan would have snapped his leg because,
Jesus.
well, I mean, dirty players. Duke is known for dirty players. Grayson Allen. And you call him Grayson Allen now.
Grayson Allen also having like a career year. He's been having a phenomenal year this year. Well, I know he's nobody's favorite player, but
so it was
great.
Duke, North Carolina in Duke, and North Carolina was winning and won. But that player, I forget his name already at the top of my head, was on the ground, and you see him clearly swing his leg and trip the North Carolina player. And like, dude, so dirty. It's absolutely ridiculous. Hell yes. I'm very excited. Sorry. Live take on, I'm watching the Champions League for soccer. And my English Premier League team, Arsenal, made it to the Elite Eight yesterday. And then right now my team for the Bundesliga is now up 2-0, looking on to go to the 8 as well, which would put me at a 1-in-4 chance that one of my two teams in the Champions League will win the Champions League. And that makes me very excited. Let's fucking go.
Grayson Allen currently on the Suns, back-to-back a 28 and then a 26-point game against the Nuggets and then the Raptors. I want to know how
many people that he's kicked in the nuts.
That is not popping up in the stats. I'll do that research for you. Get back to you.
All right, sounds good.
But this has been the Only Sports Podcast. Much like Casino said, next episode we're going to be talking a lot of March Madness, a lot of college basketball. It'll be fun because I know really nothing about college basketball, and Casino, as you just heard, loves it. So we'll be doing our brackets. We'll bring back the picks, Casino.
You know, we never did, and I'm very sad because we just kind of fell out. Didn't do the Willies.
We did not do the Willies. I was trying to put them together, but my heart wasn't in it. You know, so heart wasn't in it. Maybe we'll do the Willies before the start of next season. Maybe.
Possibly.
But this has been the Only Sports Podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino over there. We'll see you next